Welcome to Harry Potter week. We are going to be doing awesome magical science all week. And I personally, sadly, am not a witch. I wish I was, but my letter to Hogwarts never came. So instead, I went into science because science is also pretty magical to me. And today we are actually going to be taking a trip to Hogsmeade. And at Hogsmeade, which is where all of the witches and the wizards get all of their shopping done when they're at Hogwarts, they have Honeydukes. And Honeydukes, you guys probably know, have all of the most amazing candies. So they have all sorts of silly, whimsical, fun candies, and we are going to remake that in the Muggle version today. So Scabbers is Ron's rat, and his favorite candy, Scabbers' favorite candy, was Honeydukes Fudge Fliers. So we are going to make some Honeydukes Fudge Fliers today. And if you are just joining us, real quick, the supplies you need, you'll need 2 toilet paper tubes per project that you're making. You're going to need a dowel. You're going to need 2 rubber bands per project. Oh, and if you don't have a dowel, pencil's fine. Some tape. You need a hole puncher, some scissors, and then you need some chocolate chips, or if you happen to ever get a mold, you could make your own molded chocolate flies, and then it would really be fudge flies. So that is what you're going to need for our projects today. If you are just joining us for the first time, I want to say welcome. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get all of the notifications about when we go live. And you can never get behind on our science because we are just here to provide structure for you so that you guys have support during this time as schools are closed. So you can't get behind, and you can do all the projects on your own time. You can do them with us. It's no big deal. We always start with some shout outs to our fun students who are here. The shout outs right now are on YouTube, but we are transitioning over to being in YouTube Kids instead, which means we will not have comments on YouTube during that time. So if you will want to get shout outs or comments or do like the live interactive questions and answers that we do as your project goes along, we will have the Zoom classroom open during this time, and our IT guy, Evan, will be checking all of that so that he can give me your questions as we go, and then you can still be on YouTube Live with your kids, but we still have that interactive aspect of it, which will be really, really fun. And if you haven't gotten on Zoom with us, you can do that. You get all of the Zoom classroom and passwords when you support us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/rosieresearch. And as low as $1 a week for all of the programming, you get supply lists, you get access to the Zoom, we do a lunch app. So they're there. They're always there.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get started. So we have some toilet paper tubes, which I did not think was possible to be hard to find. I mean, there's a massive toilet paper thing going on right now, and yet I couldn't barely find enough toilet paper rolls for my family. So ours are a little shorter than usual. But you're going to take your 2 toilet paper rolls to make this guy. I'm going to put one aside, and the other one, we are going to cut a line straight from the bottom to the top. You're just going to cut it straight from bottom to top, just like this. All right, and then what we can do is if we squish it, it actually makes it a little bit smaller. All right, so we're going to cut a line straight from bottom to top, and then we're going to squish it enough, and we can test with our other one that it will fit inside this other one. So it needs to be able to go sort of in and out, and what you'll do is you'll just tape it in place. So you take a nice long piece of tape,
this?
and yeah, you're going to squish it just a little bit so it fits inside, and I'm going to double check that it fits inside, and then I'm going to tape it wherever it's at, and that will just sort of hold it in place for me.
Which one?
So the one with the slit is going to be the one that gets a little smaller, and so see how it fits inside?
Oh, yeah.
And you'll tape that
I thought it was
so it stays a little bit smaller. And mine has sort of like, now it has like this funky top bottom thing, so I'm just going to trim that off so it sort of is a little bit more normal of a top.
I have a question. Can we make toilet paper tubes? Like, what is...
Yeah, you can totally make a toilet paper tube. All you need is like cardstock paper. I wouldn't use regular paper because what we're going to do is we're going to hold the outside, and it's going to be like a fun little catapult system, and with regular paper that might scrunch too easily. But if you have like a cereal box, then you could cut the cereal box and you could roll it up, and then that will make some tubes for you too. And you could make both the tubes out of that, and that would just totally be fine. So I have the smaller one. I snipped it down the center and I squeezed it shut a little bit and I taped it. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some tape and we're gonna cover one whole hole of the toilet paper tube, just one side. We're gonna cover it with tape. And I can just do that really gently by putting tape across the top in a few different ways. And this is gonna be our shooting pad. And we'll talk about how these guys work. Some of my friends who have been here for a lot of weeks will know the drill with potential and kinetic energy. And that is how we're gonna make our Honeydukes flies work this week also.
Is anybody dressed up as Harry Potter today?
Oh, yes, for real. Isabella's coming, I think, into Zoom class today. And she is wearing her Harry Potter robe right now. She's all ready. She's got her wand at the ready. Georgia and I started reading Harry Potter 1 yesterday. Super exciting. It's so fun. I'm so happy about it.
Harry Potter's great.
It's great. I agree.
Who has read all of the Harry Potters?
Oh, probably lots of people, huh?
Let's see if there's a little poll.
All right. So we've got the top taped up and the bottom is plain. And it also still fits inside of here and it can slide, which is really important. So now I've got these two pieces. And the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut off, some of this tape is sort of peeling away as it goes in and out. So I'll just cut some of those pieces off. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we are gonna use our hole punch. And you're gonna punch a hole on the part that is that's not covered in tape. So we have one side covered in tape, one side's not. And we're gonna punch holes on opposite sides of this. So one here, and one there, so that we can stick a stick straight through it. So we're gonna punch 2 holes at the bottom, and it's gonna be like one right here and one right there. So I'm gonna punch my 2 holes.
Do you have if they don't have a hole punch like yours, what do you recommend they use?
If you don't have a hole punch, you could probably use like a sharp pencil, or a nail would work really well. You could like push a nail or like a push pin to get the hole started, and then you could try to get it to open up after that. And it just needs to be big enough to be able to fit either a pencil through it, which mine doesn't naturally make it big enough, so I'll have to push my pencil through a little.
I've got 2 things.
Like that.
One is, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, please.
Oh yeah, for sure.
2, Kaya is here.
Hey, hi Kaya! So when you punch your hole, you're gonna put either like a little dowel rod, some of you guys might have these fun little dowel rods that goes through your hole, or you're gonna put a pencil through your hole. The dowel rod is a little bit easier to put through the hole.
Yeah.
And
But easier.
then this piece is done. So we can set that piece aside and we can work on this piece. So the way that our flyers are gonna work is that we are going to add potential energy into the system. So potential energy is giving it something the potential to move. And you can do that by stretching things, because things that are stretched, they don't want to be stretched. So they want to move back to where they were, and that gives you the potential to move stuff. This is how like all types of catapults work, even the one we're making today. We're gonna stretch a rubber band, and by stretching it, we're giving it some potential energy. And then when we release it, it'll change that potential to move into actual movement, which we call kinetic energy. And that will help our honeyduke flies fly. So you're gonna take your other toilet paper tube, and you're going to make a couple of cuts. And it's gonna be at the top, it's gonna be just like the hole punch where we did one on one side and one on the other side. Except for this time, we're gonna make 2 little snips. Can I see this for a second, Georgia? We're going to make 2 little snips really close to each other. All right. Oh, Georgia's got our scissors at the moment. All right. So I'm going to make 2 little cuts, and they don't need to go very far, maybe just a centimeter, and they can be a centimeter out. So if I were to pull this piece back, it kind of looks like this. I don't want to bend it all the way back because it's actually going to be what holds our rubber bands in. So I'm going to do one like that. So it's just 2 little snips at the top, and then directly opposite from it on the top also, you're going to do the same thing. So you have 2 little snips that make this sort of nice piece that will hold our rubber bands. We're gonna be able to string our rubber bands around those, just like that. All right, and then what we'll do with our rubber bands is we will take one rubber band and it will go sort of right around those slits. See how lovely that is? It just goes around. It's gonna hold it in place for me. And then we can take our other one and we can put it on the other side. And something you could do at home to try is you could try different types of rubber bands. If you have a whole bunch of rubber bands, you could check to see which ones work the best, which ones make it go the furthest. And those ones might be the ones that are the hardest to pull back, to give potential energy, and they make them fling just as fast. Once I have my rubber bands sort of hooked into these little, I don't know, maybe ears we could call them, of this toilet paper tube, I'm gonna actually just put a little piece of tape from the outside over the top into the inside. And that's just gonna ensure my rubber band doesn't fly off when I make my fudge flies. Because that would be no fun to have to rebuild it every time. So again, on the other side, I've got my rubber band that's slung around these two slits, and this is gonna hold the rubber band in place. So I'm gonna put a piece of tape and I'll go inside to outside so that it holds that rubber band in place. So now I sort of have this toilet paper tube with two rubber bands hanging out on the sides, and they're hooked in really nicely.
I was thinking this way.
Yeah, so not going around it, it's just gonna be around just the tippity top. So it's gonna hang off like almost like little doggy ears, is what it kind of reminds me of. And then, I'm a little worried. My Honeydukes Fudge Flyer is a little bit slightly too big, but I'm gonna squish it with my hands and kind of hope that works. If I need to, I could always just open it back up and make it actually smaller. But what I'll do is I'll put the side that looks like a trampoline, like a wall, into the outer tube so that it's going up towards those rubber bands. So the rubber bands are in the front. I'm gonna go in from the back and it's gonna have the wall in it. So it's gonna look just like this, like that. So now I have my rubber bands on the top, and I have my little pencil or my dowel on the back end. And what I can do is I'm gonna string the rubber bands onto that pencil piece, just like that. All right, and you can now see that as I stretch this, I am adding potential energy into my system. And when I release it, the whole system starts moving, so it gets a whole bunch of kinetic energy. And we can use this to our advantage to make our fudge flies, which will be delicious. Now I can take one fudge fly and I can put it on my little trampoline like that, and then I can pull it back and I can make my little fudge fly actually move. Because I'm not a witch, so I can't give it the magic to do it for real, but as a scientist, I can recreate the same thing. Now, you might be thinking, maybe what's the best way to play with this? And that is to try to shoot it up and eat the chocolate chips at the same time. I have two in here. I think two might be a little bit above my pay grade. So we could try to go straight up. Oh, I missed it. And catch it with our mouths, which is a kind of a really fun way to slowly eat your chocolate chips. But these are our awesome little Honeydukes Fudge Fliers, but they are missing something.
Could they potentially like aim them at their dads and then try and launch the chocolate chips into their dad's mouth?
You know, you'd have to talk to your parent, but I feel like most parents would not be super against having chocolate flying into their mouth. I love chocolate.
Maybe safety glasses.
Maybe safety glasses. So again, if you missed this part, here is Georgia's. So I have the outer tube with the two little doggy ears of rubber bands, and she's got them taped in really nicely. And then I've got this other one that has sort of the trampoline on top and then the dowel on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide the trampoline into the outside, and I'm gonna take those little rubber bands of doggy ears and I am going to put them around the dowel, just like that. And then she will also have a nice little fudge flyer. And what's nice about this is, so you hold on to the outside, and it's the inside part that's moving, so you're not actually stopping the motion with your hand. And that allows you to pull back and give it some potential energy and then release it and let things fly, which is sort of a fun catapult, maybe one that you've never made before, because it's different than sort of the typical catapults that we see and we make in classes. The one big thing we haven't done yet, though, is decorate it. And I don't know how you want to decorate your Harry Potter Fudge Flyer, But you could use, like, we have some gold pens, and you could make cool inscriptions. You could give it a name. You could draw snitches on it. You could do all sorts of things to make this truly a fun little Harry Potter fudge flyer, which will be also completely delicious.
I have a game idea.
Evan has a game idea.
We could see how many you could catch in your mouth in a row.
So you put it here.
Yeah, Georgia's wondering how do we do this. We're going to put the fudge fly on her trampoline.
Here?
Nope, it goes on the other side on the trampoline. So your fudge fly goes on the side that's not with the dowel, on this little trampoline part right here. And then, Georgia, you're going to hold the outside, pull back, and let it fly. Oop, you might have pulled back too much. That's okay. So hers pulled back a little too much. No big deal. We'll just put it back in, just like that. Yeah, when you pull it back, don't pull back so far that it comes out like that. That's a good thing, Georgia. I'm glad that happened to you so that we could talk about it.
I want to
All right,
shoot it into your mouth.
Georgia's going to try, she's going to try shooting it into my mouth. All right, we're going to shoot it into my mouth real fast, and then we will probably say goodbye and head over to Zoom. But if you have a question on how to make it, type it in the comments real quick right now so that we can get to that. All right, here we go. I'm a little scared. I got to go up more. Oh, not enough. That's
short.
Okay. We'll have to practice. I mean, oh darn, we'll have to eat more chocolate chips. What a bummer. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this quick and fun little catapult activity that will make the Honeydukes Fudge Flies take on their own magical life. Tomorrow we are doing the Dementor's Kiss. It's going to be a fun little chemistry, and it's going to go back to something that we did in some of the first weeks of our science classes, which is with purple cabbage. So you'll need some purple cabbage, and we'll make some purple cabbage juice out of it, and I will show you the Dementor's Kiss as part of our very first super easy potions class. It'll be a lot of fun to do together. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel, and you can support us on patreon.com so you get all of the handouts that we do for things that are printable, and you can get into the Zoom classroom. For our friends who are already patrons, you guys can go over to the Zoom classroom. Evan will get us set up in that, and we can have lunch together. Oh my gosh, George is ready. Here we go. I got one! That was delicious. It was like a rain of chocolate flies. Who knew we would actually want flies in our kitchen? Definitely not me.
Mama.
All right. So we will see you guys tomorrow at 11:30 for the Dementor's Kiss potion. And our other friends, we will see you over in Zoom for troubleshooting and sharing and lunch.